This is Abigail's solo hour where we're here without Maddie. No steerage in sight because she really drives this boat. Sailing by ourselves here. Oh God, you're gonna use that as the fucking intro.
I'm Maddie.
And I'm Abigail, and this is
Two writers.
Many Wrongs. Two writers, 2 years. We have officially been doing this podcast for the past 2 years, which is crazy to think about. But this is going to be our recap episode of everything that we have been working on, everything that we hope to continue to work towards, and just kind of a pat on the back because Maddie and I are really bad at doing that. So we're trying to make ourselves recognize how far we've come
But
and be proud of ourselves.
but a pat on the back for what?
Oh my God. A pat on the back for having 2 years of podcast. Oh my
Uh,
gosh. You have
well,
to be proud of yourself sometimes.
why?
Listen, I don't know why I'm proud of myself, but I know why I'm proud of you.
I think
You've
like
done,
go ahead,
I
please.
just, it just, I, we joke about like which one of us really is the engine behind this podcast, but like I truly do think that this past year you have been the driving force like behind it. And yes, I certainly reach out and like do the interviews and stuff like that, but you're always the one being like, "Hey, when are we going to record? Hey, what are we going to talk about? Hey, let's get together and do this and stuff." And so I'm just very proud of you for like, being that engine, and I'm thankful for that because my life has been topsy-turvy.
I am very uncomfortable, but thank you.
Good.
Because to me, like you're the driving force because we wouldn't have
So
any of these
funny.
interviews. We wouldn't like when we're doing interviews, I have no idea what I'm doing. I You're like, have you prepared any questions? And I was like, I sure have not. I have no concept. I don't know how to talk to people. I've never talked to a person in my
Mhm.
life.
It's
So
true.
I don't know what to do. And you ask such thoughtful questions and you're always like keeping the conversation going. And we've had so many amazing people on that like it's just I'm flabbergasted that we've had
I
these
have to
people.
tell you, like it's so funny to me. When I was in like elementary school, I thought that I wanted to be a journalist,
Mhm.
and like worked for my school newspaper and like all this kind of stuff. And like I've always loved interviewing people. And like when I do research for my book, I would always rather go talk to somebody who's in that like field of specialty than try and do like research online or something. So I feel like this podcast is really filling that like space in me of getting to talk to people and learn their life stories because like that is something that makes me so happy and excited, that I love getting to do that.
Sure, but like just like the idea of just, cold emailing someone and them being like,
What's the
yeah,
worst they can say?
no. That's
Listen,
that's pretty bad
listen.
too.
I took my biggest swing last year and reached out to Jodi Pico, and she said no, and I survived. So really, that was worst case scenario. She is my hero, my idol, my everything. And she said no to me, and I'm still here and I'm still recording podcasts. And, you know, I'm also kind of like a dog with a bone. And I think that if we keep recording for another like 5 years, that we might be big enough that then she'll say yes. That is my ultimate goal for this podcast. Once I interview Jodi Pico, I'm done. I'm out. I will never come back here.
Wow. Just wow.
I
I
mean,
don't think
come on.
I don't have anybody on my list that would be like, this is it. I gotta get out of here.
Oh yeah, no, I'm leaving on a high note. I'm done.
No, I mean like the closest I got was Bethany Jacobs. But like
Oh God, she was amazing.
I love her so much.
She was so great. That is one of the things that I have really learned is like people put stuff out into the world because they want to talk about it. And even if they're too busy or like they have too much going on or whatever else and they say no. I mean, that's the hard part is that I'm emailing agents most of the time who are meant to be the gatekeepers, who are meant to protect, their authors and stuff. But like I truly believe that people want to talk about their journeys and their writing and all that kind of stuff. So I always kind of think about that when I'm emailing these people of like the worst they can say is no, I'm busy. Truly the worst is when they don't say anything back, but that's a whole other thing. I just fucking hate being ghosted. But like at the end of the day, people want to talk about it, or else why else would they put it out into the world? You know?
True. I suppose that's
True.
true.
Right. So like email that person you've been thinking about emailing and asking questions to because most likely they want to fucking talk about it.
I still don't like,
That's okay. You send me the list of people that you want to talk to and I will reach out for you.
yeah, just, yeah.
That's the joke that Michael and I always have because he's just so soft-spoken and, polite and whatever else. And he says, he's like, yeah, of course I married Abigail. If my salad is wrong, I'm not going to send it back at the restaurant because he knows that I will.
Yeah, yeah, I have, I can't have gluten.
Yeah.
And if they sent me a salad and it had croutons on it and like breaded chicken, I
Mm.
just, I would just die instead.
Yeah, that's insane to me. No, no, absolutely not. And again, it's harder for me to stick up for myself. It's super easy for me to stick up for the people I love. Like,
Yeah. I feel
not
like
even a
that,
question.
I feel that too. Like if it was me, it's fine. Like I'll just die. That's okay. But like
Yeah,
if like, my husband can't have dairy.
dairy.
So then I'll
Yeah,
be like, this has a speck of cheese on it. Send it back, giving him something
yeah,
else. And he's like, it's not even like
exactly.
that bad of an allergy. Like,
No, yeah, yeah. Like yours is really fucking bad.
yeah,
My bingo card for 2026, one of my little icons, because I always put icons of, kind of like manifesting that stuff. But one of them is girl podcasting, um, to try and stay more focused on the podcast this year because it's such a wonderful like creative outlet for me and getting to hang out with you and stuff. So it is one of my like make this a priority in 2026 goals.
cool. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I every time I think back of everything that we've done, all the people that we've talked to, I'm just really flabbergasted. Like really,
Yeah.
honestly, I can't believe these people have talked to us. And we've just
Hmm.
we've learned so much over these last couple of
Right.
years. I just
Well, it is, we always talk about the goal for this podcast is to build a writing community. And I think that the first year, I just felt like we were shouting into the void. And this is the first year that I felt like we were actually making connections and like building out not just our network, but like truly providing a service for the greater writing community. I mean, the fact, dude, I almost died. The fact that Jandy Nelson listens to this podcast, like shout out Jandy, you're amazing. I love you. Um, Blew my fucking mind
no, for real
you
though.
know? And like having even like my godfather listens to the podcast and he'll like text me questions about stuff. And it's so cool to like have my family members really start to understand what my life as a writer looks like, you know? It's been really, really fun. And like, we've had a couple of reels on Instagram reach like 5,000 views, which is crazy to me.
That as well.
Not many, but like, just enough that, we've gained followers. I think that I talked on our last recap that I really wanted to like double our follower count on Instagram.
Hmm.
And while I don't think that I quite doubled it, I'll have to go back and re-listen to last year's, but I think last year we had like 80 followers and now we have 138.
It's pretty
So
good.
like, right. So like I do feel like even though it's very slow, I do feel like we are growing our community. And like, dude, getting to talk to Silly Goose Press was so fun because I feel like they're really in the same stage as we are and like trying to build something and they're so put together and motivated and like we're not. So like that was really inspirational.
Yeah, but they got more
Getting
people.
I know they do, but like also they're just so cool being like, oh, well, we have like this document and we got more people. Like they're already expanding and growing so much. Um, every single person we've talked to this year has just been an inspiration and like I truly feel like I've learned something from them.
Yeah, totally. We love Silly Goose Press so
Oh
much.
my God, I love
We talk
them.
about we talk about them all the time because we aspire to be like
We still
them.
have
But
two more geese to interview, so it's great.
yeah, I love them.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're wonderful. I have to say, if you had asked me like at the beginning of the year who I thought the highlight was going to be, I would have said TJ Klune because he was absolutely a highlight to get to talk to.
Yeah.
I love him. I love his books. He's such a big name and like came out of nowhere and like that was all awesome. But I really do think that Jandy Nelson may have been like my favorite interview this year. Although Clara Lombardo is also pretty awesome because I use her books as comp
Yeah.
titles for my own books. Like that was pretty fucking cool for me also. Um, God, it's really hard. Everybody was so wonderful.
Yeah, I like brought different things to the table, definitely.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Getting to
Um,
talk to Bethany Jacobs was awesome too. I mean, I know it was awesome for you because like Idol, but it was cool for me because I have no concept of that sci-fi space.
yeah, I honestly, so one of the things I've been doing is I've been rereading the books that are similar
Mm-hmm.
to the one that I'm trying to write.
Yep.
Um, and I was rereading the first book in Bethany Jacobs' trilogy, and I can't help but think back to she didn't think this was going to be a trilogy when she wrote this book.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
just wild to me because like there's so
Yeah.
many little threads in there that I see like
Hmm.
it's just really interesting to like kind of compare like as somebody
Yeah.
who's read the book, but also somebody who's talked to them and kind of seen the behind the scenes of what went into the book is really interesting.
Hmm. Well, and to me, it shows great understanding of your own source material because I don't know if you watch Stranger Things or not, or if you've seen the discourse around Stranger Things right now. But the final season came out, and it was so clear that the writers had moved on mentally. And there are so many loose ends that were just left dangling. And in interviews and stuff, they just kind of are like, oh, yeah, I don't know, maybe like it happened off camera, or like, oh, that just isn't really, and like just kind of making up bullshit excuses for the writing. When before the season came out, they were talking about like, oh, we had everything planned from the beginning. Like, we always knew where this was going, blah, blah, blah. And I just feel like that's such a bravado. And it would be so
Yeah.
much more impressive to say, we thought we were going to get one season on Netflix. We never thought that our rinky-dink D&D show was going to go anywhere. And, then we really spent the time to look into it and pull all those threads and build a story out of that. And I
Yeah.
thought that was so cool of Bethany to be like, I reread my book to find the different threads and then continue to make something out of that. Like that is so much more impressive to me than I always knew where this was going, you know?
Yeah, I mean I definitely think it's different because you can always know where it's going, but
Yeah.
like if but there's people who don't they clearly don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
like I knew that I wanted to start here and I knew I wanted to end here, but that doesn't mean they knew
Hmm.
exactly where it was going to go. They
Right.
didn't take the
Yeah.
time to really like map out everything.
Right. And again, just I think as a pantser, I really appreciated I don't know where this is going, but I'm going to go back and study where it's been so that I can create a solid roadmap to the end. And taking the time to do that and study your own work, I really admire and think is a skill that a lot of people undervalue.
Yeah, so that makes me think of in November, I did a challenge where I wanted to do a bunch of flash fictions. So I was
Hmm.
trying to do a flash fiction. I was trying to do one every day, but it ended up being like took me a little bit longer than that, and then trying to get them submit them out for publication.
I know, I'm so
And
excited we're talking about this.
so but I noticed that the way I was writing was a little different because
Hmm.
basically I struggle with like ending things. So I wanted to
Yes.
kind of practice like on a smaller scale, like beginning and
Hmm.
ending something. And
Yep.
so I when I was writing, I would like write like a paragraph and then two paragraphs, and then I'd be like, oh wait, I mentioned something about this earlier, and then I'd go back and I'd add a little
Nice.
detail that would link to this, and then I'd keep writing,
Hmm.
and then I would continue to go like back and
Hmm.
forth. And then when I would go to the end, I would go to the beginning and I would kind of like mirror
Yeah.
them. Because I was thinking of at AWP,
Hmm.
end should be a profound
Yes,
reimagining of the beginning. And I was like,
exactly.
this is literally what I'm doing. And I was just
Yeah.
not, I wasn't thinking about it. I was writing the ending and I'm like looking back at the beginning and sometimes making edits to the beginning and
Yeah.
then going back and forth until it, like, the way it started made sense for the way for it to end.
Yes. Yes, I love that. I mean, and again, it's the difference of looking at the piece as a whole versus beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
It's looking at it as no, this is an entire story that has to make sense altogether. Yeah.
And some of the
But
times that I was writing, I would write the beginning and then I'd write
mhm,
the end and then
mhm.
I'd write the middle.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Because like this is where it starts, this is where it ends. I know these solid points. So then
Hmm.
finding how they got to those points was and for some of these stories, it was different. Every time I wrote
Hmm.
one of these flash fictions, it was different every time the way I was
That's
writing
really
it.
fun.
So
And what happened through this flash fiction exercise? What was the end result?
I did get one of them published.
Yeah. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you.
Which the one that ended up getting published, I was very surprised. Like it very much surprised me. But I had a lot of fun writing that one. I think that was one that like I it was kind of like the up back and forth kind of one that I
Hmm.
was writing and it's called The Red Light and it was on Flash Phantoms and
Hmm.
I was very that was my very first publication. So I can finally say I'm a published author.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I think that that's so awesome that you challenge yourself. You saw where a weak point was and you challenged yourself to try to grow from that. And I'm so happy that the universe really rewarded you in that,
Yeah.
to like, that exercise of letting go and just moving forward.
Yeah, I think I think that was another exercise of not just like writing something from beginning to end, but like beginning to ending as in like I wrote it and I'm done with it. It's out
Yes.
and I'm done. I'm not touching it again. And so
Yep.
that was kind of like something I hadn't done before. But
Hmm.
also like I kept getting discouraged because I kept sending out these short stories and they kept getting rejected, rejected, rejected. But they were stuff that like I originally wrote in grad school. And so I hadn't
Yeah.
tried anything that I'd written freshly like nowadays. And
Right.
so my confidence was really tanked. And then when I started writing these and I was having fun enjoying writing again, I submitted it and it got published. It was like, oh, my writing does have value. Like I am a good writer.
Yes.
I'm capable of being published. And
Hmm.
then what like helped even more with my confidence is I got a rejection letter that said like essentially it had made it all the way to the final round, but they had to cut one of the stories and mine didn't fit the theme as well as the other ones did.
Hmm.
And that was the only reason he rejected it.
Dang.
Um, and I was like, and it was this one of my favorite stories I've ever written that I wrote in grad
Yeah.
school. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, my writings always had value. I just didn't have the right
Yes.
market. And he
Yep.
also said that I could resubmit, which is very rare for a magazine to
Yeah.
ask you to resubmit something.
Yeah.
So that also provided me with a big boost in confidence of like, oh,
Hmm.
like it isn't like I can write now. It's like, oh, I always could write. It's just I hadn't found the right place for it yet.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that's been reiterated in our interviews with people of, especially Silly Goose, it was really helpful. Just, sometimes it's not the right time, it's not the right place, it's not the right reader. That was the helpful thing talking to Michaela Whatnall this year, as a literary agent to that's the query process that I've been going through, less sending out my stories and more trying to get somebody who will fight for my work and feel seen in my work. And that's been really discouraging because, you spend so much time putting into this novel and then to have somebody just be like, yeah, it's not really for me. When the truth of the matter is they may, if that book was published on the shelf, they may read it and be like, "Oh my God, that was such a great book." It's just not the one that is speaking to their soul that they can fight for day and night and like die for, you know?
Yeah,
And like thinking about, I read 38 books this past year, and thinking about it, there's maybe two that like I would die for, And so really kind of putting that into perspective of like, it's not about my writing. It's not that it's bad. It's that it's not the right thing to fight for,
sure.
you
And
know?
like That reminds me, I was reading an interview with Neil Clark, who's the editor-in-chief for Clark's World magazine, which is a
Hmm.
magazine I aspire to be in.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how he's like, we reject so many stories all the time because I see stories
Yeah.
all the time and I just know right away which one's right for us. And he's like, sometimes a story I reject goes on to win awards and accolades.
Hmm.
And he's like, I don't regret rejecting it, but I'm
Yeah.
also so happy for them that they found the right market. And like, it's
Yes.
not that it was a bad story, it just wasn't a fit for my, and I'm not like,
Right.
oh, I missed my opportunity. It's more like I'm glad that they found their place and that they're
Right.
being recognized for it.
Hmm.
And I think that's something too I've learned from working on a literary magazine is there's so many different perspectives. What how it works is we all add comments about like after we've read it, we've like this is what I liked, this is what I didn't like.
Hmm.
And then also thinking about what kind of magazine we're writing and all these things go into it. And there's editors have vastly different opinions than I do.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's very like just because there's like stories that I loved, like I thought this is
Hmm.
amazing. I would fight for the story that got rejected because other
Yeah.
editors didn't see it. So it's
Right.
that does kind of add a new perspective of like maybe there's
Hmm.
somebody who read your story, even if it got rejected, but maybe somebody read your story and was like, this is amazing. I don't know what you guys
Yeah.
are, I don't understand what you guys are
Yeah.
talking about. This is the
I
best story
mean,
I've ever read.
and I think that's the thing too, is that you really have to remember, like, when you send out your stories, when you send out your work, you have to have somebody who's going to be willing to fight for it. And I think that that was so interesting talking to JP about, why did she choose to hire you kind of thing of like you were able to have that debate and that discussion with her and that kind of reassurance of like if there is a story that you know is going to be it, like you can fight for it. And like obviously, it's a committee, so voices, could overpower and get shot down and whatever else. But like really when you think about it, you have to have somebody again who is willing to die for your story, who is willing to say like this is the fucking one, and if you guys can't see it, you're idiots. And it's that's a hard place to put yourself in. So like your writing has to be above and beyond to have some stranger put themselves in that position for you.
Yeah.
And that has really it's just been helpful to think about of like how much would I fight for something and how much can I expect somebody else to fight for something, you know?
Yeah. I think one of the reductions that I got, I got feedback back about it, and essentially they were saying like I really liked I got this and this out of it, and was like explaining like how they read my story and what they were taking out of it, and it was
Mhm.
exactly what I'd meant to convey,
Oh,
and they
I
like
love
parroted it back to
that.
me, and I was like. This is a really wonderful thing to receive because even though it got
Yeah.
rejected, the fact that somebody saw my
Yep.
vision in the story is like that's
Totally.
enough to make my heart sing.
Totally. Yeah. No, I love that. Um, that would be such a special feeling to have somebody be like, I truly connected with this work. I mean, that's my like mark of like how I know I will have made it. Of like obviously step one, get an agent. Step two, get published. Step three, like the end all be all, is to receive a single fan letter.
Mm,
Just to know that my book has connected with with somebody in the world would be I could die happy. That'd be amazing.
that would be pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, looking back, what do you think you are most proud of this year?
I mean, I have to say my publication. It's
Yeah.
something I've wanted for so long, and I
Hmm.
finally got it, and that
How
feels
did you
very special.
celebrate?
Um, oh, Josh took me to a bunch of wine bars.
Oh, I love that for you
Oh,
guys.
we went to like two bookstore. We went to a bunch of bookstores and a bunch of wine bars. And so
Perfect day.
that was a perfect day for me because I love my red wine and I love books. So, I got to do the best of both worlds and just it was just really nice, kind of low key kind of day. It wasn't anything like wild.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, trying to think. I mean, outside of like surviving this year, it started off obviously rough with inauguration and has just gone downhill from there as far as like the world goes. So I'm
Oh
really
boy.
trying to think of like personal things that I'm proud of. Um, there's so many things that I set out to do. I set out to finish the edits on my second book, and I never got to it. I set out to outline, the map for book three, and I never got to it. Um, and I'm just trying to think, like, I think the thing I'm most proud of is I actually started querying this year. And while I didn't stay as on top of it as I wanted to, there was a solid like 6 months where I was, I'd get a rejection, I'd send a new one out. I get a rejection, I'd send a new one out. I queried 27 agents this year. So it's not anything to look down on, certainly. I really wanted to get to 50, and life got in the way, and it got really discouraging and hard. So I want to get back at it and refocus this coming year. It's going to be hard because I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before that I'm pregnant again. But yeah, so gonna
Surprise!
have, I know, right? Gonna have a second child. What am I thinking? But we're
I have no
done. We're
idea.
done after that. Two and done. Um, but yeah, so I know that this upcoming year is going to be hard, and the more children you have, obviously, the less time for yourself you have, which like is cool. My daughter's my favorite person in the entire world, so like I love getting to dedicate time to her. Um, but I'm gonna focus on not losing myself. I'm gonna focus on continuing my writing journey. I have the support system in place to do it. It's just a matter of self-motivation and making myself do it. So I really, we've talked before, like I hate resolutions, but I like goals. And so I have my bingo card of goals. I want to query at least at minimum 25 agents this year. And then hopefully do more, but really trying to like set my standards at realistic levels
Mhm.
to not set myself up for failure and disappointment.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I haven't made any New Year's resolutions. I haven't made a bingo card. And I think I'm just
Yeah.
gonna let it ride and just see how
Good for
this year
you.
progresses without like what I wanted to do is I wanted to write like a letter for
Hmm.
myself to like send like an email that like I send at a specific
Yeah.
time to like here's what I'm hoping, this is
Hmm.
where I'm at, and just kind of like seeing where I was at the beginning of the year and versus the end of the year and not making it like a we have to accomplish this year, kind of taking the pressure off a bit.
I love that idea. If you just, once a month wrote like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm proud of, this is what I hope to achieve soon, and especially because I think that's what something that I struggle with is I'll be so excited about something in the moment, and then at the end of the year, I'm like, I didn't really do anything. And it's like, well, you did, I taught 5 classes this past year, and really like got into my groove as a teacher at Rollins and like getting to feel very comfortable there. I attended like my writing group several times and was able to make progress. Like I got all of my beta reader feedback on my second novel, and compiled it together. I didn't complete the edits, and I didn't go to as many writers groups as I wanted to, and I didn't generate as much as I wanted to. And like trying to
Yeah.
remember to still be proud of like the small victories.
Yeah, I think like when you list it out, the things you didn't accomplish are going to end up being louder, which is
Yeah,
not how it should be. I think you should focus on all the things that you accomplished, but sometimes it's hard to remember. All you
so
remember
hard.
are the things that you didn't do that you wanted to do. But like think
Yeah.
of all the things you did that you didn't think you were going to do that
Yeah.
surprised you.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I'm thinking we interviewed so many awesome people this past year. And like this podcast is just it truly is one of the things that I am most proud of just as far as like sticking with something. I think it is the thing that's most actively growing my love of writing right now. And it continues to put me in a position where I'm uncomfortable. And, we grow when we're uncomfortable.
True.
And so, it's not easy for me to send out these emails to people, and it's not easy for me to talk to strangers and whatever. And I get nervous every single time, but after every single interview, I come out of the office like grinning from ear to ear, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's exactly like that. Because you're like, what if
Hmm.
they're mean? What if they're
Right.
like they think that they're above us or something? And it's never
Hmm.
been the case. They've
No.
everyone we've talked to has always been very sweet and very
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
very giving of their time and their
Yes.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like when
absolutely.
we interviewed Jandy, I was like I was on death's door. I was at
Yeah,
death's
you
door.
really were. You were down with bronchitis. It was not good.
But like she brought so much energy that
Hmm.
I could barely keep my head up when we
Yeah.
started the
I
podcast, but by the
know.
end I'm like leaning forward like yes, and like talking to her really excited because she
Yeah.
just gave me the energy to like continue through the interview. Also,
Hmm.
side note, I when I was editing it, it was horrible because my voice was so weird.
Oh,
I was like, this doesn't sound like me. This doesn't, I don't
yeah.
know who this is. It actually sounded like I had like a voice modulator that had made my voice really low.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
weird. It was bizarre.
Well, I was just so surprised. Like, that's how I could tell you were really into it because at the beginning of the podcast, you had said to me, like, I'm not planning on talking. We prefaced
So
Jandy and told
dead.
her, like, Maddie is really sick, but she's just here for support, like, whatever. And then you came out, started asking questions and making comments, and I was like, oh, Maddie is feeling this. Like, she's that sick and she still can't help herself, but add
Yeah,
something that's awesome.
because it really energized me. Like I found like
Yeah.
supernatural energy because
Yeah.
she just with her she was just
Hmm.
infectious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and little things. So, like interviewing Taylor and interviewing Paige was so fun for me because they're both Central Florida writers. And like, I went to a literary event, like an author signing, a couple weeks after we interviewed Paige and saw Taylor there, like in person, and was like, it like got to have that satisfaction of a real life interaction with them.
Oh
And then
man.
the same thing happened. We interviewed Jane Rodriguez of the New Romantics. And a week later, I was at a toddler's birthday party for my friend who works at the bookstore, and Jane was there. And it was just so cool because it was one of those things where it's like, I know that Jane is a good person from everything I've heard about her, from talking to her, from whatever else. But then the fact that she showed up to her employees' 2 year old's birthday party, I was like, oh, you're a real one. You're just a good fucking person. Like, yeah, I just, I'm so impressed with every single person that we've emailed this year and talked to this year. And like, just the generosity of spirit has been really fun.
I think it says a lot of the people we've interviewed that it says a lot of that about them, just that they would agree to be on a podcast with two girls who are like nobody and
Yeah.
give them an hour to talk to somebody who is interested
Hmm.
in their work and what they do and wanting to be, to aspire like them. Like Jandy was
Yeah.
talking about, she's like, I hope one day you guys get to experience your books being turned into movies?
Oh my God, I know I
And I was
die.
like, I, girl, I'd be happy if I got a book published. I'm not even thinking about
Right?
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, for
funny.
sure. For sure. Okay, so taking a left turn, what is something that um I don't know, was kind of like it didn't quite go how you thought it would this year, or was a little bit of maybe a disappointment this past year that like we want to try and build better next year?
I would definitely say like my writing suffered a lot last year.
Yes, my
Just
writing.
but like I mean that's why I had that challenge in November was because I
Hmm.
just between working on this podcast and the magazine and life
Hmm.
I my writing was taking like a really big backseat and I was just not really focused or feeling it and it was very not, I would say not intentional the way I was writing. It was like sporadic. Like I'd write here and there,
Hmm.
but like there was no like consistency in it in a way that I wanted there to be. But I filled my time with other things like reading craft books or reading books that I thought were similar to my book and taking notes on them and working on the literary magazine, working on this podcast. So I was filling my creative cup, but I wasn't like really expressing myself in a creative way until later in the year. So that is a regret
Yeah.
I have.
No, I agree with that. I definitely, I talked already about the goals for my writing that I said that I wasn't able to accomplish, but the thing that I am most frustrated with myself about is the fact that you and I's book club never happened. We both bought the books full of short stories. we both talked about, okay, like we'll pick out the short stories to read together and talk about, and then I just never texted you to be like, okay, I'm ready. And we have the books. We just never did it. And I feel like that's so much of my writing community right now is I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. And then I don't have the capacity or the ability to follow through with it. That it's something that I really want to work on in the new year and trying to figure out, okay, do I need to say yes to less things so that the things I do say yes to, I can truly commit to? Or is it a commitment issue? And no matter how many things I say yes to, like, I'm not going to follow through. And so I really need to push myself to follow through.
Mm.
So I think that's something that like I'm really gonna try and work on this year of like, showing up to my writers group and, doing the book club with you, or, we talked about recording earlier so that you have more time to edit and like really making that like a solid priority. And just I'm really gonna work on follow through this coming year because I feel like I've really been struggling with that this past year.
Yeah, I think something I want to do is I really want to try and put less pressure on myself because like I keep letting myself down. The more I'm like, I have to do this, 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 and this, the
Yeah.
more I let myself down, the worse I feel about myself, the less I accomplish because I just get like so in my head because I had all these things I was going to do, but I didn't do any of them, or I only did part of them. And then I just get more and more depressed, and then I can't do anything. And then it just becomes this vicious cycle. So I'm trying to like not set as many goals this year, not set as
Yeah.
many expectations, and just
Hmm.
focus on like consistent effort, like just
Yeah.
consistency, working on that rather than trying to set a
Hmm.
specific goal.
Yeah, that's really smart. And like just thinking about it, I think that I like prioritize in the order of who am I letting down. And so, anything to do with my daughter, my family, whatever, comes first and foremost. Everything else can fuck off as long as that thing is accomplished. But then next is my teaching. I have to grade papers. I have to lesson plan because I have students counting on me. I have administration counting on me, whatever. And basically, once those two things are accomplished, I have so little left in my cup for myself and like the fulfillment of like, oh yeah, Maddie and I wanted to do this, but if we don't do it, it's not the end of the world. So like it can back burner for now. And just like trying to be better about that. And I don't know how, because I still have children and I still have a job teaching. So like I'm not sure how to get better at balancing those things, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna work on it.
Yeah. But just remember to be forgiving with yourself because especially now you're going to be there, you're throwing more balls in the air to juggle than you've ever
I
had
know.
before. So
I
just be
know.
patient with yourself.
I don't I don't understand what you just said. Like I know the individual words, but patient with myself, I don't understand.
Just imagine that you're somebody that you love dearly.
Oh, so like you. Okay, I can be patient with you.
Just pretend that just pretend you're somebody that you would be patient for.
Oh gosh, that's hard sometimes
But
because,
it's something
you
that I've been
know.
doing recently is like when my husband's hard on himself, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Do you understand how it feels for me? How hard it is for me when you're hard on yourself?" And that works because he's like, "Oh, I don't want to hurt you," and I was like, "Exactly. If you talk about you
Yeah.
that way, I get very sad, and it
Yeah.
breaks my heart. Do you want to break my heart, Abigail? Do you want to break my heart? You want to make me
Okay.
sad? If you're not patient with
No.
yourself, I'm gonna cry."
Okay, I don't want to make you cry. I literally, I was grading papers for the end of the semester, and anytime I want to procrastinate, I call my mom and I'm like, "Hey, bully me. Like, I need you to tell me to do this shit because I don't want to fucking do it." And my mom flat out said, she goes, "I need you to grade your fucking papers so that you can help me with all the Christmas shit coming up because I don't want to do it by myself." And I was
Well,
like, "Oh." Well, I can do this for you, no problem. I finished grading those papers in like a day. Like what had taken me a week to like finally focus and get around to, I did in like a day because I was like, oh, well, I'm doing this for my mom. I can do this for my mom. That's easy.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with my brain.
I don't
I
know
have no
either.
idea.
I don't remember what I was watching, but they were like, loving you is as easy as loving myself. And I was like, what? What does
That's
that
not.
mean?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's if only.
Yeah, I wish girl, I wish that were me.
Right, right. And like the crazy thing is, I have pretty good self-esteem overall, but anytime I do something wrong, I'm like, you dumb bitch, how dare you? And it's like, okay, reel it in. Reel it in a little bit. Be nicer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I do something wrong, I'm like, yeah, typical. Of course you would. You wouldn't
Dude.
be able to do.
Oh my God. The number of times that I say to myself, ugh, you pulled a fucking Abby. Really? Really? Of course you did this. And it's like, you know what? Your 10-year-old self would you really hurt to hear you say that.
Yeah, that's not really nice at all to
Yeah.
say. No.
Yeah. I know. Um, is there anything else that you can think of from this past year that you want to talk about? Any particular interviews or anything else that you want to talk about or add to?
So, like, we've met so many really wonderful people and people that like I would love to follow, like, have a relationship
Hmm.
with, to follow up with, and talk to about things. But like, I have absolutely no idea how to
Yeah.
like I saw that so I use
Hmm.
Duo Duotrope for like tracking my submissions.
Hmm.
And they had like a featured agent and it was Michaela.
Aw.
And I was like, how do I can't like I'm like, oh, I should screenshot this and be like, hey, I saw you on here. But then I was like, I don't know.
I know. That is the hard part. Yeah. I will say, I know we keep talking about her just because it's my favorite and it's making it more awkward knowing that she listens to this, but it is what it is. But like Jandy, after I posted the thing on our Instagram of the recap of the year, she reached out to me on Instagram and was like, I wish you guys all the best and like hope you have an amazing new year and la la la. And I was like,
What a sweetie.
I love you so much. And again, like reaching out to the silly geese, I totally feel like I could do that really easy and comfortable and build a friendship there.
Sure.
But like Bethany Jacobs straight up was like, email me whenever you guys have questions, you guys have struggles, like reach out. I'm like,
I was like, what, how? Like,
I don't know
yeah,
that I don't want to waste your time. Like,
yeah. Like when I got my first publication, I was like, I'm gonna message Bethany and tell her I got my first
yeah.
publication. And I was like, why would she care? Why,
Oh my
like,
gosh, you should. If you don't, I will.
I was
I'll
like,
do it for you.
this is such a, I'm not gonna like,
Yeah. But you know she'd be so excited for you, which is the coolest part of it.
I don't, would she, you think?
Here's the thing, in my everyday life, like not just talking to these people who we view as like almost celebrity status, but just in my day-to-day life, I assume that nobody remembers who I am. So
Sure.
like when I go to get my hair cut, I go to the same person. I've been seeing her for like 2, 3 years, but I only go every 6 months. So I always assume that she has no idea who I am. She has so many clients and talks to so many people about so many things that I always assume I am forgettable. And it's the same thing when, like if I go to the grocery store and it's the same like checkout person as before, I assume they don't know who I am. And anytime that they'll see me and be like, "Oh, hey, how'd the whatever work out for you last time?" I'm like, oh, you do remember who I am. Like, I did make an impact. And so that's kind of thing that I feel about these authors is like, I would love to reach out to some of them and be like, oh my gosh, like, hey, what about this thing? But I assume if I reach out to Claire Lombardo, she's going to be like, oh, yeah, I did that podcast thing. And like, there's no reason for me to think that, but I'm just completely convinced that I'm forgettable.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I recently went to our favorite Indian place. We go there a lot,
Hmm.
probably like once a week. Um,
Nice.
and we always order like takeout. And so I went to go
Hmm.
pick it up. Usually we do Uber Eats, but this time we wanted to do like go pick it up and we use like
Hmm.
their website so that the
Cool.
restaurant got more of the money because we want to
Yeah.
support local. Anyway, we
Yep.
walked in there and like I've never used the service before, but it's
Hmm.
they like picked up my order and they're like, "Oh, welcome back." it's good to see you again. And I was like, you
Oh,
recognize my name because of how much I order?
that's
Oh,
pretty nice. That's cute.
and then, but also when I lived in Tampa, we had an Indian restaurant that we went to all the time.
Mhm.
And we walked in, and the guy's like, "Oh, hello." He's like, "Good evening," and he's like, "Do you guys want the usual?" And I was like,
Yes, please.
"Well, one time I ordered it, and he's like, "Oh, have you ever tried this before? It's very similar. You might like it." And I was like, "I'm never coming to this place ever again."
No. Oh my
I don't
God.
like being recognized. I don't like people knowing who I am. Please.
See, and I think that's our opposite problem is that it makes me feel special and it makes you want to die.
Because there's nothing I hate more than being the center of attention, which I know sounds weird
That's,
as an only
yeah.
child, but like, I hate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I get that. See, whereas like my Starbucks, so I haven't been to my Starbucks in a very long time because it was making me sick during the first trimester. And then of course Starbucks is on strike, so like trying to not be a scab and whatever. But for a long time, I would like pull up in the drive-through and the person on the other end would be like, "Hey Abigail," like the usual. And like they recognized my car. And I loved it because to me, like that shows a sense of community. And like I would pull through the window and be like, oh my gosh, like, hey, Jen, like, hey, how's it going? And like I knew their names and they knew mine, and that kind of thing. So I do love that aspect of it. I'm never going to be the one to initiate it because I always assume that nobody knows who I am. So like I would never be one if they're at the window. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, Jen, like how's school going? Blah blah blah." Because I think I'd freak her out and be like, "Who the fuck are you and why do you know that about me?" Um, so I don't know. If somebody recognizes me, I'm super excited and like down to chat, but I'm never gonna go up to somebody and be like, "Oh, hey, do you remember me?" Because if
I
they say
mean,
no, I'll die.
I think there's also a bit of like shame that like I've eaten
Hmm.
at this restaurant so many times.
No, but that just means that you're supporting them.
It just means I have an addiction to tikka
That's
masala.
okay. That's fine. We all have something. I am, though, in the back of my head, keeping a list of if I ever get published, who I can reach out to do quotes on the book jacket.
How does that work? Do you like you can email somebody?
Yeah, basically. So once you are getting a book published, you will reach out to authors. Sometimes they do it like if you're at the same agency, they'll reach out to people who are similar. Sometimes you just like cold call authors and see if they'd be willing to read it and stuff like that. But I really like that I'm getting the opportunity to build up some people that we know so
Oh,
that it's not going to be such a like stranger thing to reach out to people. Again, Claire Lombardo writes within my genre, within my scope. If I can reach out to her someday and be like, hey, could you read my book and give a quote for the jacket cover? Like that'd be pretty fucking awesome.
yeah. That'd be pretty cool. I
Yeah.
would love if Bethany did that for me.
And you know she would. She'd be so excited too.
You have a lot more confidence in that than I do. So,
She was so kind and wonderful that I
yes.
truly believe that she would be over the moon, like to find out that one of us has become successful.
Yeah. Hopefully one of us does become successful.
Listen, I'm holding out hope for you because the more children I produce, the less brain cells I seem to have. So I'm
It's
losing hope for
it's
myself.
because they're taking them.
Dude, because they're fucking leeches. I'm telling you, I don't know that I'm going to have any bones left after this one.
Hmm.
She just sucks it dry. It's all right. They're pretty cute. They're worth it. Anything else about this past year, the podcast, our writing, hopes and goals for the new year? What are we thinking?
I don't know. I don't know what this year has to entail. Like I was so surprised by what happened last year with the podcast. I really did not
Mhm.
think we would interview so many. I thought TJ Klune was like, that's it, we're done. And then it just kind of like we were just back to back to back interviewing people, and that was really cool. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
I'm Abigail.
And I'm Maddie, and this has been
Two writers.
Many Wrongs.